Jeanette, is this a public meeting?
Yes, it is.
Okay, maybe you want to remind everybody.
Yes, for sure. Once the meeting starts.
So, in the other meetings, did they do a Pledge of Allegiance or did they skip that?
We've been skipping that.
So, we can take a vote on if we want to do it or not, I guess.
Yeah, we can. I just took it off for the meantime.
I don't want to upset anyone. Oh, look at Brian.
I'm here.
Hi, Brian.
How you doing, Ralph?
Doing pretty good.
Good, good.
Getting tortured by the people of Melrose Park. Are you getting tortured by the people, by you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Oh, you're just calm and collective and doesn't faze you, maybe.
Well, you just got to keep giving the permits out. That's all they're looking for is they want their permit to remodel because they're all home.
Yeah, they're getting them. They're getting them all right.
Oh yeah, we are. So.
Then there was a lot of stragglers who tried to get away with it, but I caught them all.
Oh yeah, yep. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Smoking and vaping are harmful.
I think we're just waiting on Aaron to join us.
Okay.
And Alderman Chester was not sure if he could join us, and I don't see him on, so that's the only committee member that would be missing.
Okay.
Aaron Frame, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Morning.
I'd just like to remind everyone to please mute your computers or your iPhones. And if you have any questions, please feel free to use the hand raise feature and chat with us. You can do it privately or you can send me a message directly if you have any questions. Chairman, I think we're ready to start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So the Residential Sound Installation Committee meeting will now come to order. I'd like to take roll call if we can tonight.
Yes. Bensonville. Bensonville?
Sorry. Here.
Yes, I can hear you now. Chicago 41st Ward,
Here,
Des Plaines, Melrose Park,
Here,
Norwich,
Here?
Park Ridge,
Here.
Rosemont,
Here.
and Schiller Park.
Here.
We have a quorum.
awesome. So I'd like a motion for the approval of the minutes for January 29th, 2020 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second it.
Okay, do we need a roll call on that tonight?
No, voice vote.
Okay, thank you. So next we have a presentation for noise audits part 2.
Vote.
Is that Doug or Aaron maybe?
It's Dustin, actually.
Oh, Justin. Sorry, Justin. Thank you.
That's okay. All right, let me share this.
All right, I'm gonna mute.
Can everybody see the shared presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me back to present some more information on the RSIP noise audit process. Today's presentation is going to focus on noise audit regulation and guidance. But before I begin, I'd like to briefly recap what we discussed last time. So in my previous presentation, I defined the term noise audit, reviewed some of the key fundamentals of acoustics. We outlined the 2 FAA noise reduction goals, discussed how we perceive changes in decibel levels, and then presented some information on the 2 most common noise audit procedures, being the overflight noise audit and the loudspeaker noise audit, and then provided some highlights on each of one of those. Today, I'd like to build on that by providing you with some additional information on the noise audit regulations and guidance. I will begin by listing the applicable regulation and guidance documents, and then I'll show you how these documents have led to the noise audit procedures that we use on RSIP. So I've divided the regulation and guidance documents that we will discuss today into 3 categories. And I'd like to start with the first one, which would be direct FAA regulations. So first we have the Airport Improvement Program Handbook, Order 5100.38D, Change 1. And this is the primary instructional document that governs the AIP-funded residential sound installation programs. Now, Change 1 was released in February of 2019, and most of the applicable information relating to sound installation can be found in Appendix R. Inside there's one reference to noise audits, which lays out the requirement for programs to use the 1992 guidelines when establishing existing interior noise levels. So that brings us to the second item there, the advisory circular. That is the 1992 guidelines. So it's advisory circular 150-5000-9A, and that is the active guidance document for noise audits. I would say though, however, that the majority of the guidance in there pertains more to overflight noise audits. Underneath there, I put another bullet for a new draft advisory circular 9B that was released for public comment in 2019. So this draft AC includes considerably more information related to the noise audit procedures, yet until it's officially released, the 92 guidelines are still referenced in the AIP handbook. The next category of regulation is FAA-sponsored research that provides guidance and best practices. And for here, the first one would be the Airport Cooperative Research Program Report 89. That was released in 2013, and that really was to provide more recent guidelines for sound installation programs. I would note that the AIP handbook was never changed to reference this new report instead of the 92 guidelines, but it does still offer a great deal of useful guidance and best practices. Next, we have a report issued through PAIRS that was done in 2013, and that sought to identify variations in noise level reduction between different noise audit methods. Building on that research, the ACRP released report 152 in 2016, and that offered a pretty extensive evaluation of all the commonly used noise audit methods. Following that, we have the HMMH report 305.220.008 that was released in February of 2016 for the FAA Office of Environment and Energy. And this document sought to establish consensus on the aircraft noise spectrum that's used in the noise level reduction calculation of a noise audit. And the last two documents here in this category are DOT FAA TC-1815, which came out in 2017, and then the 19-34, which came out in 2018. And these took things even further and presented a detailed analysis of all the parameters that influence a noise reduction measurement and provided a detailed measurement procedure outline. The third and final category of regulation here is the applicable standards. So first we have the ASTM E966. The 18A version was released in 2018. And that stands as the most applicable national standard for conducting a noise audit. Next, we have the SAE ARP 6973. This is based on a lot of the research that's being done on those two Department of Transportation and FAA documents, the 1815 and the 1934. This is still under development. It's not officially released, but it seems as it will likely become the new standard method of measuring noise level reduction of a facade. Next, we have the ISO 1628-3. This is the international equivalent to the ASTM E966. And finally, I referenced a paper that was published in the Journal of the Acoustical Society of America by author Carl Hopkins, and that touches on the effectiveness of different interior sound level measurement procedures. This next slide here provides you with a brief comparison of the overflight and the loudspeaker methods of conducting a noise audit. The RSIP primarily uses the loudspeaker noise audit method because of the information that's shown on this slide. So in summary, we have really no reliance on the aircraft operations, which helps us to sound insulate prior to the completion of the modernization program. We can schedule days and weeks in advance, and the procedure is minimally intrusive with repeatable results. And that's why, as noted here, the loudspeaker method is the most common approach across the industry, and that will be the focus of the following slides as we move forward. At this point, I'd like to touch on several key aspects of the loudspeaker noise audit procedure, followed by the regulation and guidance pertaining to each item. I'm first going to show you a slide that will outline an aspect of the procedure as performed on the RSIP, and then I'll follow that with a guidance slide that lists the references used to validate the procedure. I'm not going to spend much time on these guidance slides as they're really only there to provide you with some supportive material and give you a roadmap to where you could find additional information. So the first item that I'd like to discuss is dealing with the sound level meter requirements. So the RSIP uses a type 1 class 1 sound level meter. It's manufactured by Larson Davis, and we use that when we're conducting the loudspeaker noise audit. A few specifications of that meter are shown in the table to the left. Of note are the capability to do both a linear and an exponential averaging, the octave and third octave filters for frequency analysis, and the ability to perform A, C, and Z weighted measurements. So the current advisory circular 9A discusses the use of a type 2 sound level meter for overflight noise audits, but it appears that the new draft advisory circular is moving towards the use of a type 1 class 1 sound level meter for both overflight and loudspeaker audits. Here's the sound level meter requirements guidance slide. It states that both the ASTM E966 as well as the new draft advisory circular are requiring the integrating averaging sound level meter of a type 1 class 1. loudspeaker source noise audit measurements. Next, I'd like to discuss the practice of equipment calibration. So all sound level meters and microphone assemblies are calibrated using a field calibrator just before and after every noise audit. And this provides us with a known level of certainty in our results. But beyond that field calibration, we also send all sound level meters, microphones, and field calibrators for annual calibration through a certified calibration laboratory. And this again ensures that our equipment is performing to all the manufacturer recommended standards. Here we have the guidance slide. And this practice of field calibrating prior to and after every audit agrees with the guidance provided in the ASTM E966. And furthermore, the field calibrator that we use meets the ANSI and the IEC standards using a 1,000 hertz signal. And we can do that at either 94 decibels or 114 decibels. Without an aircraft noise source, there's a need to generate a signal in the field that we can use to measure the noise level reduction of the facade in each frequency band. So this slide here shows you the three major components of that system. First, we have the source section, which consists of a pink noise generator. And pink noise is ideal for this application as it has an equal amount of acoustic energy in each octave band. Next, we have the processing section, which normally consists of an equalizer and a power amplifier. And this equalizer is used to focus our available amplifier power to the frequency bands of interest and increase the signal to noise ratio of the system. And finally, the amplified signal is then sent through a loudspeaker and then transmitted to the exterior facade being evaluated. Now again, this aligns well with the ASTM E966 procedures shown here on the guidance slide. They recommend the use of random pink noise and filtering the spectrum of the noise source to concentrate the available speaker power capability. Now I'd like to cover the topic of loudspeaker placement and the distance and angle of incidence to the facade under evaluation. So as shown here, the RSP seeks to place the exterior loudspeaker at a distance of at least 25 feet from the center of the facade at an angle of an incidence of 45 degrees from the line perpendicular to the center of the facade. And it should be noted that these desired locations and angle of incidence may not always be possible. Sometimes we have physical obstructions on the property that might hinder that. So this distance and angle of incidence can be adjusted as long as some other requirements are met. So here we have the primary objective being shown that on the guidance slide, that we seek to ensure that the variation of sound level across the facade being tested is not greater than 3 decibels. And as I mentioned earlier, that adjustments to the distance and the angle of incidence may be needed in order to satisfy this requirement. Likewise, the two Department of Transportation and FAA reports that I mentioned earlier are shown here to support the 25-foot distance and the 45-degree angle of incidence. Excuse me. So the next factor deals with the mounting method of the loudspeaker. For first floor rooms, as well as second floor rooms that do not reach higher than 24 feet, the loudspeaker is to be mounted on the ground. And when the measurements of a second floor room reach higher than 24 feet, the loudspeaker should be elevated on a speaker stand to a height of 6 feet. Now this would also be necessary if we were conducting an audit on a multifamily building where that floor under evaluation is higher than 24 feet. Also noted here is the potential need to tilt the face of the loudspeaker back slightly when trying to aim the test signal at a specific facade height. So why does the RSP use the ground mounted loudspeaker for some measurements and a 6-foot mounted loudspeaker for others? The answer really lies with the problem known as ground reflection interference and the negative impact that has on the accuracy of our measurements. So when a loudspeaker is elevated and a microphone is elevated to measure at a specific height on a facade, you get both direct sound that travels from the loudspeaker to the microphone, as well as reflected sound that travels from the loudspeaker to the ground and then from the ground to the microphone. And this reflection impacts the signal level that you measure at a specific frequency based on the geometry of that equipment. And as shown in the second bullet on this slide, the majority of the transmitted sound energy determining the NLR of a room lies within the 100 to 500 hertz frequency range. So this means that our goal is to ensure that the ground reflection interference frequency falls outside of that 100 to 500 hertz range. The table on the right here provides the calculated ground reflection interference frequency for different loudspeaker and microphone heights. And you can see that when the ground loudspeaker position is used, that frequency falls above the 500 hertz point. Also, you can see that when the loudspeaker is at 6 feet and the microphone is higher than 24 feet, that frequency falls below the 100 hertz range. And this is really what accomplishes our goal here. Taking this further, the number of facades the room has will also impact the noise audit procedure that we use. We see here that for rooms with only one exterior facade, the 1W procedure can be used. And the loudspeaker can really be aimed from either the plus 45 or the minus 45 degree location. For rooms with two exterior facades, the RCP would need to use either the 2W1 or the 2W2 procedure, and this is dependent on the presence of any nearby reflecting surfaces that might prevent an equal audio signal spread across both facades with a single loudspeaker. So if we see that there are nearby reflecting surfaces or we can't get that equal audio signal spread, then the 2W2 procedure would be necessary. So the 2W2 procedure can really be looked at as conducting two separate 1W audits because they use a separate loudspeaker location and a separate interior measurement is conducted for each facade. As shown here on the guidance slide, we see that the two Department of Transportation and FAA regulation documents do support each of these procedures, and they recommend this exact approach for single and multiple facades. Next, we have audio signal spread verification. And we've defined that here for you as the audio signal spread is the reduction of acoustic energy that's measured throughout the extent of the exterior facade as the measurement location moves further away from the focal point of the signal. So we've doctored these images a little bit on the right to show you kind of visually what that might be, but essentially you see the loudspeaker at the bottom center. The red points are the louder levels, and as you move away from that focal point, you get more into the yellow and the blue, which is the lower levels. So we try and ensure that that 3 dB spread is covering the entire facade that we're evaluating. So this variation is measured to ensure that the entire facade is being exposed to an even distribution of acoustic energy. And if we did not have the equal coverage, then you would not be testing each element of the facade equally. So as mentioned earlier, the audio signal spread across the facade must not vary by more than 3 decibels. And depending on the number of facades in the room, this procedure involves adjusting the loudspeaker angle and distance to meet that 3 decibel requirement. For corner rooms with 2 facades, the difference in level from an equal distance opposite points 5 feet in on each facade would be measured to ensure that they're within 1 decibel of each other. And if that is the case, then we can use the 2W1 procedure. And if it's not, then we would use the 2W2. Looking at the guidance slide, we see that the ASTM E966 and the TC 1934 both agree with the 3 decibel audio signal variation level. And the TC 19-34 supports the need to have that minimal audio signal variation on the 2 facades to allow for the use of the 2W1 procedure. So a key point to make with respect to any interior and exterior measurement is the need to take ambient and background level measurements. These are typically 30-second measurements taken both inside and outside when the audio signal is not active, and that documents the resting noise level without any introduced noise. Here we see on the guidance slide the procedure outlined in the ASTM E966 for taking ambient measurements and the goal for keeping the background level ideally 10 decibels below the signal level in each frequency band. So when the 10 decibel separation cannot be achieved, the E966 does provide guidance on how a formula can be used to adjust the measured level to remove the influence of that nearby ambient level. Next, for the exterior measurements, these are conducted at 5 randomly selected flush mount points against the facade. And these the microphone should be a maximum of a ½ inch from the facade surface. And the flush mount point should be no closer than 2 feet from any perpendicular surfaces to the facade. Looking at the guidance slide, it should be noted that there are 3 methods of taking exterior measurements that are outlined in the 966 standard: calibrated, the flush, and the near. For the sake of time, I really won't be able to describe these in more detail, but I would like to point out that with respect to noise audits, the flush method does offer many advantages over the others. And as also of note here, the E966, the TC18-15, and the TC19-34 all require the 5 flush points per facade, each lasting 30 seconds, as well as a correction that's done to account for the presence of the facade being so close to the microphone location. Moving on to the interior measurements, we conduct 2 30-second spatial average measurements per room. The microphone is mounted at the end of a short extension pole, which is used to keep the microphone at least 2 feet away from our body. The microphone is swept in a half-can cylindrical shape, maintaining a constant speed of 1 foot per second, staying at least 2 feet away from any hard reflective surfaces. As before, guidance slide here is shown supporting that spatial measurement technique and the duration that I described.
Hey, Dustin, it's Aaron. Can you take a pause and switch from your headset to your speakerphone?
Is the audio unclear, or?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out for the past 5 to 7 minutes.
I'm actually not on a call. I'm using just the computer. I can try and move back if it's, or forward or back if that helps a little.
Well, whatever you did just now made it worse.
Is that pretty good right there?
Yeah, but don't move.
Okay, I'll do my best. So we're very close to the end. So wrapping things up, I'd like to end with the development of the aircraft frequency spectrum that's used in the noise level reduction calculation. So the process began by determining the most frequently operated aircraft for each runway end and for both arrivals and departures, and then requesting the corresponding spectral class ID and frequency spectrum data for each of the identified aircraft. We then determined the annual averages of arrivals and departures for each runway, and finally weighted each spectrum using those percentages to develop a curve that can be used to represent the noise for each town. It's very important to know that this was not a procedure that we established, but it's the recommended interim approach provided in the HMMH report number 305.220.008. The report outlines a tiered approach comprised of an interim procedure that can be used immediately and then a long-term approach that's still in development. The procedure that I just described is the recommended interim approach, and that will be in place until a more long-term solution can be released. And to further support this decision, the draft AC advisory circular likewise states that the most frequently used aircraft at an airport by runway end should be used. That does conclude the presentation, and I just want to thank everybody for their time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Justin. We have to revisit back to the approval of the minutes from that review. So I'd like to make a motion. I need a motion for the approval of the minutes. Someone make a motion, please.
There was a motion and a second. We just need a voice vote for all the members.
Okay, thank you.
There was a motion by Ernie and a second by Brian.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor,
So-
say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. So next on the agenda is the odorless windows update. Will that be with Aaron?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. So not a lot going on here, except we've been, as we told you in January, we finished our contract specs. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the state commission still has not yet met. So that is something we are tracking on. We have not heard from the IDOT staff in a couple of months. So the good news is we did receive a grant. We executed the grant, so we have funding in place. But we are not proceeding with any work in the field until we get to talk to members of the State Advisory Committee itself to provide some direction to us, because they are supposed to be doing oversight for the state legislature. In upcoming months, you're going to hear us distinguish homes with odor problems versus homes with mechanical problems. We're going to handle this on 2 separate tracks. And you will hear more about that because we're going to use separate contracts to address those problems. If a home has odor and mechanical, those problems will be addressed under the the contract for odor mitigation. If it's mechanical only, we will have a different contract mechanism. So like I said, not a lot of progress in terms of the state, but in the background, the CDA is doing a fair amount of work to get a contract in place to remedy any mechanical issues. Chairman, are there any questions on this topic?
I have no questions. Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay. So that leads us to item 6, RSIP online property locator update.
Yes, Chairman, I'm going to have Vildana Chelik of the CDA present this report to you.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We are updating the RSIP property locator. We are working with our GIS team at the CDA to, they're taking over and maintaining this property locator feature. They're taking it over from our downtown IT department, and we're very close to publishing the new and improved property locator feature. We only have a couple different tweaks to make, and I'm expected to publish it this week. So it will be uploaded to our O'Hare and Midway websites, same links as before. And I can share those with Jeanette when it's actually published. So I think the new property locator will be more intuitive and with much clearer images and graphics, and probably faster to load as well. Aaron, do you have anything to add?
No, just to clarify, Vildana, in your opinion, will it have the same functionality? It just might be a little bit more user-friendly?
Yes, it will have the same functionality.
Yes. And Chairman, just for everybody's knowledge, we have uploaded all of the dots to show on the map for all of the homes that are included in phase 19. And that's important because unfortunately the full commission has not been able to yet to pass that phase 19 resolution. We are looking for the full commission's approval at the June meeting of the full commission. But in the meantime, we have no illustration for you to show where are the phase 19 dots, but for this property locator. So I'm actually pretty excited to relaunch this for all of you so that all of you can see where are the homes for phase 17 that are remaining, where are all the homes for everybody enrolled in phase 18, and therefore where does that leave everyone else still within inside the contour or block rounded that would be eligible under phase 19. So we do think that the updated property locator is going to be a benefit to all of you and your constituents.
Thanks, Aaron. Does anyone have any questions?
Ralph? Ralph?
Yes.
Hi, Frank here.
Hi, Frank.
Can I ask Dustin a couple of questions, or is this a different topic now? Or,
No, you can
Too
ask.
early.
We're not, yeah, no problem.
okay, Dustin, just a couple of quick things. On your presentation, thank you, first of all, for all the detailed the information you gave us. I'd like, if possible, if you could send me a link to access all those different files and studies and things that you mentioned. I would appreciate it. But just two questions specifically. You mentioned that you're using a pink noise generator to mimic the aircraft noise, but then you equalize it first and then you amplify that noise. In your attempt to generate the noise that you want for testing purposes, did you consider the spectrum example you put up of the 737 departure sample noise, so that you equalize your source to mimic the curve, the downward U, for instance, the downward widened U, so that we're not measuring noises that the aircraft don't make? Does that make sense?
Sure. So you could set the equalizer to match that spectrum in a way. So you could set it up to mimic the 737 curve. But what tends to happen is that there will be certain frequencies where you just can't get it loud enough to overcome the background level. So what tends to work out well is to use the pink noise and even adjust certain treble frequencies higher using that equalizer. And that then gives you a very good signal to noise ratio. And you can then individually for each frequency band determine what the reduction is. And then once you know that, you can apply that to whatever curve you choose to apply that to. So it is intentional so that you get a very good signal to noise ratio and you don't have any background level interference.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but you're testing, if you're using a flat broadband noise contour, you're actually testing frequencies that the planes don't make. And then in your equation or your measurement, you're measuring those frequencies that the planes don't make. So I'm questioning the validity of the testing. If I know the FAA probably provides this, but if you're using an equalizer between your pink noise generator and your amplifier, I would think that if you use that equalizer to make the noise sound more like what a plane would make, it would be a more accurate test.
I understand what you're saying. You are trying to be as accurate as possible. As far as measuring frequencies that aren't produced by the aircraft, we're not necessarily, the calculation, you can use any frequency band that you choose in that calculation. We're simply trying to get the noise reduction in each frequency band, and then you can choose whichever one of those bands you'd like to include when you do the measurement. So if you feel that there's a concern that you could use a frequency that a plane doesn't make, well, then you could simply not include that when you're trying to calculate the noise level reduction. But we always would use the frequencies that are recommended in all of the guidance documents. And most of those, I think there's a little bit of variation, but most of them would be telling you to use somewhere between the 80 hertz all the way up to 5, maybe more, 1,000 hertz. And those are the ones that we use, and it's strictly done that way because that's the guidance instructing us to do so.
Well, I guess we can agree to disagree, but your own curve that you show for departure sample spectrum doesn't show much noise at 5,000 hertz. There's a roll-off after 2,000 hertz. And if you're measuring up to 5,000, either that measurement doesn't count or shouldn't count. or you need to change what you're measuring.
I think perhaps maybe we could just discuss this further at a different time. I think it's just an issue of us understanding what we're trying to explain, and maybe I'm just not doing a very decent job of explaining it right now.
No. Actually, you did a very good job of explaining, and I appreciate it. I understand the terms and the significance of them. So if you'd like, we can get together sometime and go over these. I know it's not going to change the way the world turns, but just so the other members are clear in what we're getting here. Also, is there a criteria for testing homes in the city versus the suburbs? Where I know the airplane is not responsible for homes being spaced closer together than they are in the suburbs, but it is an issue here where, you know, we're a concrete jungle rather than a grass jungle. And the sounds are echoed off of adjacent buildings, and you know, the way you're measuring it with a speaker on the ground pointing up, you're not measuring reflected sound at all. And it's just a totally different circumstance that we have here in the city. Is there a testing method that would apply to homes in a city that would be different to one for homes in the suburbs?
Frank,
Or areas where there's
Frank, it's Aaron. I'm confused. Are you saying that we should be measuring a high-rise in Bensonville differently than we measure a high-rise in Chicago?
No, but we should be measuring a neighborhood in Schaumburg differently than we measure a neighborhood in Chicago. Our homes are only spaced 5 to 7 or 8 feet apart here, and there's concrete all over the place. Where in the suburbs, you have a single home that's surrounded by grass, and you know, the next home may not be for 40 or 50 feet or more away.
Well, I disagree with that statement. Dustin, do you want to comment on measuring homes versus measuring neighborhoods?
Well, we always do a sampling of each community, so it's not an issue of avoiding an area or treating someone differently. We're testing every community.
I understand, and my question was, is there a different criteria for testing in the city versus in a less populated area where the homes are spaced
The answer
further
is
apart?
no. The answer is no.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we can now move on to RSIP O'Hare Phase 17 and 18 status. Informational that who will give that? Aaron?
Chairman, I'm going to ask Doug Blanchard to give that. Doug's the program director for the Residential Sound Insulation Program.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to see if I can share this report.
Yes, Doug, we can see that. That looks good.
So you can see the status report for O'Hare Phase 17 on the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, good, because I can't tell that it's being shared. But okay, so I just wanted to go over a couple little changes for O'Hare Phase 17. I'm going to look at this center column here, Chicago Historical. One thing to note here up on the top, this number of new invites of 170. We did a little bit of audit since the last time we met in January, and we found out that there were 3 additional dwelling units, mainly from a home that may have been 2 units versus 1 unit in the building. So that number went up. And going down here on this section that says did not enroll, there's 38 homes here for the Chicago Historical. So that number went up by those 3 that we found out are 3 additional dwelling units. So another thing I wanted to point out in this row here, all of these homes, there's 275 homes here, and there's a breakdown for each community. All of these homes were invited to O'Hare Phase 19, which we will get to later on. And another thing I wanted to point out is this advertise for bids row here for the next construction contract for the Chicago historical homes. We anticipate going out to bid in about a month from now. We're very close. We think that early June we'll be able to go out to bid, and then a bid should be opened probably about a month after that. So those were 2 additional updates on this report. Does anybody have any questions for O'Hare Phase 17?
Nope.
No questions.
Okay, so I will share the O'Hare Phase 18 status report. Can everybody see that on their screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now I know I can share my screen properly. All right, so here is O'Hare Phase 17. I'm sorry, O'Hare Phase 18. There's a few things I wanted to point out. The homeowner briefing section, this did not change. That happened quite a while ago, last fall. We do have this row here for number of homes that did not enroll yet for Phase 18. But I wanted to point out that these 127 homes all were invited to O'Hare Phase 19. And again, there's a breakdown community here. 24 Bensonville, 35 Chicago, 13 Des Plaines, 12 in Park Ridge, 4 in Rosemont, 23 in Schiller Park, 8 in Wooddale, 5 in unincorporated Cook County, and 3 in unincorporated DuPage County. So one thing to note here, the number of homes that actually did enroll was 400. So we started out with 527 homes, but only 400 of those homes did enroll. The next row down, home inventories completed to date. We have 281 home inventories completed so far, and wanted to remind you that, or notify you that with this stay-at-home order, we stopped performing home inventory appointments on March 17th. So our last appointment was conducted on March 16th. So that's why there's a difference there between number of home inventories complete from the 400 to the 281. So we do have some work to do, and we can get back into homes. So hopefully we can do that in June. We'll see how that goes. So the next section down here is a construction contract section. So Phase 18A, we anticipate going out to bid with 225 homes. We are in good position to do that because we did get home inventory appointments for those first 225 homes. And we anticipate going out to bid in the 3rd quarter. Hopefully that's in July. So we are in a good position to do that. Our specification, final version of our specifications are being reviewed right now, and preparations are being made for advertisement. And then the next phase, hopefully we can get some home inventory appointments resumed. And Phase 18A, hopefully we can go out to bid in the 4th quarter of 2020. That's all. Oh, and there's 175 homes that we anticipate for 18A. That's all I wanted to point out for Phase 18. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Yes, this is Aaron. Vildana, I understand that you assistance from Bensonville and Wooddale and Schiller Park regarding some home inventories. Can you update the committee as to how you need help?
Yes. Last summer of last year, we met with all the communities that have homes in Phase 18, and we met to discuss how codes, local codes, and zoning requirements affect the program. And we jointly made a decision. Most communities requested that, for example, if there is a bedroom in a basement or an illegal conversion, that we notify the communities. So in conducting these home inventories, our technicians discovered some scenarios where there was a question about for example, a basement bedroom or an illegal conversion, and also some questions regarding egress windows in basements. And we have relayed that information to the communities, and we have sent 4 letters. The CDA has sent 4 letters to Wooddale, 4 letters to Bensonville, and 9 letters to Schiller Park, asking for response. I just wanted to ask if we could, I know Steve Skursky from Bensonville is here. I'm not sure if the Wooddale and Schiller Park representatives are, but I would just like to follow up and see if we can get those responses so that we can move these homes forward to know whether we can proceed with work or not.
Well, Donna, yes, Larry Fritz is on the call today for Schiller Park. And Jeanette
Any
can help
questions?
you. Jeanette, is Wooddale on the meeting today?
No, they are not.
Okay. Larry Fritz, it's Aaron Frame. Are you able to help us connect with Schiller Park staff?
Yes, I'll forward the information or request that they could respond.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay.
Well, Donna, can you,
Thank you.
forward those letters to Larry so that he can follow up and help connect you to the right people?
I will. Thank you.
Chairman, we don't know if this is just a product of, we have transmitted formal inquiries and we're looking for formal replies. So we don't know if this is just a symptom of folks, working at home and not being in their office with full ability to do their jobs as we normally would in the normal course of business. But in any event, in the middle of the screen, Doug's talking about we've conducted 281, home inventories, and for these 4 + 4 + 9 homes, we will not be able to complete those inventories until we have clear direction from Bensonville, Wooddale, and Schiller Park. So in the meantime, we'd like to try to get some direction from them. When we are able to resume work in people's homes, we have that direction in place and know what to do.
And I have also resent those emails yesterday with all the letters attached. So all the communities should have the PDFs, but I can forward to additional staff today.
Okay, Bill Donna, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to get your email, and I know our economic development department is looking to it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Doug, anything else for you on phase 18?
Not on phase 18.
Chairman.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Okay, yes,
Can I ask a
Hi,
question,
Ernie.
please?
of course, Ernie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is for Doug and/or Aaron. From where I'm sitting, I know I haven't been on this committee that long, but from reviewing past reports, this looks to be, if not the highest, one of the highest percentage participations for Park Ridge. Would you concur with that?
I would say yes, and that's Ernie. Phase 18 was largely folks that contacted us either in response to an inquiry postcard a few years ago, or folks that had called in to what we call the RSIP inquiry line. So the majority of this group of homes were people who were looking for us in order to enroll, and as a result of that, we do have good participation, and we're very positive about that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions for phases 17 and 18, we'll now move on to phase 19 status. Will that be Doug or Aaron?
I can go over that.
Yeah, Doug, go ahead.
Thanks, Doug.
So I just put on the screen the status report for O'Hare phase 19. This is the first time we generated a report for this phase. So we do have a lot of good news here. So there might be a lot of new information for you to take a look at. So right now we have this broken down at the top, allocation of homes. We have a total of 1,131 homes. And you'll see we broke it down on homes that were invited in past program areas versus homes that were invited in for the very first time. So Bensonville has 103 homes, Chicago non-historical 406 homes, Chicago historical, these are those 33 homes that we saw in phase 17.
38.
I'm sorry, 38, yes. Des Plaines has 46 homes, Norridge 1 home, Park Ridge 222 homes, Rosemont 31 homes, Schiller Park 125, Wooddale 103 homes, unincorporated Cook County 34 homes, and unincorporated DuPage County 22 homes. So this makes up the rest of the homes that are available in this current noise contour. So everybody has a chance to participate if they elect to do so. The next section down here is a virtual homeowner briefing. I wanted to share with you a little bit of information. Normally we conduct homeowner briefings in a banquet hall setting and invite 200 homes or so. At this time with the stay-at-home order, we are not allowed to do that, to gather people in one setting. So we put together a virtual homeowner briefing and we taped 3 separate briefings, one for single-family homes, one for historical homes, and one for multifamily homes. And we recorded those at our remote locations, several of us at home or at work, and there's 5 of us in the presentation, and we combined those videos. And we prepared those to be presented in a GoToWebinar setting. And we started broadcasting those yesterday. So in order for to notify people of that, we sent an invitation in the mail to all of these 1,131 homes. We sent that invitation on April 29th. And we have several people who signed on for the GoToWebinar. We realized that some people may not have the technology that allows them to connect via a computer and through the internet to a GoToWebinar setting. So we also presented an audio version that people can call by their telephone. And all of this connection information was included in that invitation mailing to these 1,131 homes. So we have 9 separate airings of the GoToWebinar video presentation, and they all occur on May 12th, 13th, and 14th. You can see that across the whole report there. And we offered 1 presentation at the lunch hour, 1 in the late afternoon, and 1 in early evening, so people can take their pick as to which one they wanted to watch. And we also did that same spread of the audio presentation, so people can call in by telephone if they wish to do so. So we hopefully are reaching out to a lot of people and giving them an opportunity to enroll. So the next section down here is we're anticipating some information as we go through this process and get people to enroll. I wanted to point out this line we have here for the enrollment deadline. We currently do not have a specific deadline because we are going to hopefully go out to bid as soon as the first 250 people sign up, and we can do home inventory appointments and put the specifications together. So that enrollment deadline will kind of roll out over the next couple months, a few months. But just so you are aware, we did tell people in the the homeowner briefing, that we wanted them to submit their applications by July 1st. So we're hoping to get a lot of people to sign up. But hopefully we'll get 250 real quick so we can set that first specification contract together and go out to bid. I think that's it on the enrollment deadline. I wanted to point out the first opportunity that we plan to go out to bid is the 4th quarter of this year for phase 19A. And then we also, hopefully a month behind that, we can go out to bid in 19B, and a month after that, we hope to go out to bid in 19C. The 19D, we have on here 381 homes. That's the remaining homes to make up the 1,131. We are not quite sure if we'll get all 1,131 homes, but if we do, it takes some time to get those home inventory appointments to be completed, and we will go out to bid in the first quarter of 2021 if we get all 1,131 homes signed up. I think that's it for this report. Chairman, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but does any members of the board have any?
Ralph, Frank here.
Yeah, Frank.
A question for Doug. Did you say you mailed out all the invitations to all the people in the noise contour who are qualified to apply for this?
Yes, for all those 1,131 homes, we mailed the letters on April 29th.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, it's Aaron. Just two final points on this report. Number one, I need you to encourage your coworkers or your colleagues rather to participate in the next full meeting of the ONCC. I still need phase 19 resolution passed. We took it to the full commission in February, but Jeanette, correct me if I'm wrong, we did not have quorum and we're not able to adopt the resolution. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, so Chairman, it's now May, and we're already doing homeowner briefings. So if all of you are able to participate in the June ONCC meeting of the full commission, that's fantastic. It's really important that we have quorum, whether that's in person or virtual, because your next meeting is not until September, and that's going to be a problem for phase 19. So please, if you can, please participate in that ONCC meeting because this resolution adopted. The last thing is, please remember everyone, this is the last phase of OMP sound installation. If the homeowners do not enroll this summer, they may likely never be eligible for sound installation again. I do believe at some point in the future, the CDA will generate a new noise contour, but it remains to be seen when that happens and when it's approved by the FAA. So please do encourage all of your homeowners to enroll because we do not know what the future noise contour will look like.
Okay, Aaron, thanks for that information. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so yeah, everyone make sure you're at that full meeting next time so we can get this voted in. Okay, so next ONCC Residential Sound Installation Committee meeting will be September 9th, or we may even have a virtual hearing. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see on that. And I guess we're gonna skip comments from the audience because there is none. And I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Actually, Ralph, we do have some people in the audience. I haven't received
Oh, we
any.
do?
Yes, we don't have any direct inquiries through the chat, but you can ask if anyone has any at this time.
Okay, so if anyone does have any questions, now's the time to request them. Anyone? Well, if not, so I guess we're gonna move forward for adjournment. Can I make a motion? We need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
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 We are now adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a
Great
great day,
job,
everyone.
Ralphie.
Everyone be well.
I'm trying
Bye-bye.
here.
Stay well, everyone.
You too. Bye.